morning.
Hey, man. Good morning. How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Did you just wake up?
Oh, no. Been up for a while.
Cool. So, I don't know. I guess I just wanted to talk to you about like your paintings and stuff like that, obviously. I guess kind of how you got started.
Sure. Been a professional artist for 17 years or so, but I've been drawing since I was little and like knowing from like 7 years old, this is what I want to do. And then transitioned into the wrestling stuff about 3 years ago.
Yeah. How old are you now?
34.
34. So, like, was it like a hobby for you for a while? Or did you like always just like take it seriously too?
Pretty much always took it seriously. For the longest time, I wanted to work in comic books, and I did with very small success. Did that for a decade or so, but still had to have a day job, and finally got to the point where I realized like I'm not going to be the guy drawing Batman, or even writing Batman, and I just kind of like had to be honest with myself and started looking at other ways I could still be a professional artist, still enjoy it, and make a living from it. And yeah, like I was doing gallery stuff concurrently, kind of doing like pinup type art, but even then I was just another guy doing pinup art. And then I saw someone have a really successful Kickstarter where they raised like $50,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I put the effort into this, because like at the day job, I was working in marketing and social media and stuff. So I was like, if I put the work into this, I could probably do that. Just needed kind of that hook to base it around. And I realized no one was doing serious work about professional wrestling. It was always like making fun of it or, like whatever. And so I did a Kickstarter around that and raised 20 grand. And that allowed me to get away from the day job, get a studio. And for the last 3 years, that's all I've been doing.
Wow, I didn't know that you got. It sounds familiar thinking about it, like when you mentioned it, but I didn't realize you got started with the Kickstarter.
Yeah, it's a great platform. I still hear from people like other artists. I even had like one share with me where like a group of artists were like, "Man, this guy, he's not even a serious artist. He's doing wrestling and raised that much money." It's like, yeah, you should see how hard I work, guys.
Yeah. And you do work pretty hard. You've like painted. Do you even know how many different wrestlers you painted? Is there a list?
I post at least a new painting every day. So doing this for 3 years now, that's over 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like, do you like, I don't know, like, are you working on more than one at a time?
Sometimes, yeah, because occasionally I'll take a day off. My wife forces me to.
Yeah, I would imagine like you'd get like a stiff neck and everything like that, just where, the same thing.
Yeah.
Like the whole day. Yeah.
And also like when I work with watercolor, there's that drying period with it. So while I'm waiting on one to dry, I'm working on the next one.
True. So this is your full-time gig now, I guess. Yes. Getting back into that.
Yeah.
Wow. And that like gives you all the money that you need, for everything.
Yeah. And, like sometimes I even make a little more than that. Like last year, I was able to raise over $10,000 for various charities and doing about the same pace this year, which is totally awesome.
That's so cool. So you mentioned like superheroes before too, like Batman and stuff. Is that something you also grew up?
Oh, yeah. Comic books are first love, definitely.
Yeah.
Like I was into comic books way before wrestling. I didn't get into wrestling until I was 18.
That sounds like me. I was really into like superheroes when I was younger. I got into wrestling probably around 13 or whatnot. But yeah, like I don't know. I think that they kind of go together. I think they're kind of similar when it comes to like the costumes and stuff. And
and kind of the morality play and stuff.
Yeah,
and most of the talent are huge superhero fans as well.
It's true. Yeah. So like, I guess you like it's giving you the opportunity to meet these wrestlers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've seen that you like traveled on the road too, like for WrestleMania and stuff.
Yeah. Last couple of years, I've got a lot of road time under my ass. which is, you know, like very cool. Although sometimes it's like, yeah, I'd kind of like to be home just like on my own bed and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, like being like I've like last year I did a second Kickstarter to because that was before I was working with WWE, so I had to pay my own way for everything and raised, you know, a few grand to pay for that, which, you know, saw me go coast to coast, you know, showing my art at different shows and everything. Although like I drove from Kansas City to New York last year for WrestleMania, and I was like 3 miles from the venue and got T-boned by a semi.
Wow.
Yeah, totaled my truck, destroyed the art, the prints.
In New Jersey or New York?
Yeah, Jersey.
What part of New Jersey? Because that's where I'm from.
Oh, it was shoot, wherever they had WrestleCon at, like
okay.
right by there.
Yeah, like that Secaucus area. Or something.
Yeah, Secaucus. Yeah. And yeah, got like the guy's like, hey, it's just one of those things that happens in life, man.
The truck driver said that?
Yeah.
I guess you were probably not the first person he hit. If that's his,
probably.
If that's his way of putting it.
But luckily, like I was okay. I had like just literally a scratch.
Yeah.
But you know, like everything was destroyed, and awesomely, my printer here in Kansas City saw what happened. They reprinted everything and overnighted it to me, so I was able to go on and do my show. And at that point was, you know, my best show I'd had up to that point. It's like people can be totally awesome apart from that truck driver.
Yeah. That's great. Not great for you, but
yeah.
Like what a great, you know.
But yeah, I had like 2 weeks later a show in Vegas, so I had to like quickly put a bunch of paintings together as soon as I got home, and then fly out to Vegas to do that.
So, I guess what's like somebody wanted to know what's the weirdest request for a painting that you received?
The one I tell is when I did that first Kickstarter, there was like the level where you could get your own painting, you know, for the reward gift.
Yeah. What were some of the perks? I guess kind of.
Oh, you know, like I had like prints and you know, art related stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, like getting up to the painting, this one guy. He was also out of Kansas City, but I didn't know him or anything. And he's like, I'd like either, you know, a portrait of me or of Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I had just, you know, done several Stone Colds. So I was like, well, shoot me a picture of you. That could be different. Yeah. And I guess he's a big video game guy, and like in a wrestling game made a character that he thought looked like him and sent that picture to me to paint. It was this kind of like weird uncanny valley type thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you know, like this will give me a story to tell. Like here I am telling it. So I sent it to him, and he asked me, you know, like where to get it framed and stuff. And I gave him information. He's like, thanks so much. I can't wait to give this to my mom.
Oh man.
So
she's the one who thought that he looked like the video game,
I guess,
character.
And he said she loved it. So mission accomplished.
Yeah. Or maybe they don't see each other. Like we can get really deep with this. Maybe they don't see each other. Like he hasn't seen her in like 15 years, and he sends her pictures of the video game character.
And she thinks that's what he looks like now.
Yeah, it's like he's catfishing his mom.
I hope that's what's going on.
Me too. So like speaking of like requests and stuff like that, do you take requests for paintings? Has like wrestlers reached out to you and been like, hey, how come you haven't painted me yet, Rob? Like
I've had a few of those.
Yeah.
And I don't take a lot of commissions anymore just because WWE has me hopping so much.
Yeah.
But here and there I'll take some. But yeah, like if a wrestler reaches out to me and wants something, like normally I'll do it because it's kind of like the equivalent of a celebrity endorsement, you know, like having Paris Hilton wear your dress or whatever, like whenever that would have meant something, you know, like having a wrestler put up on Twitter, like, look at this painting I got from Rob, you know, like that does a lot for me.
Yeah.
And like when I did the first Kickstarter, and like the main thing I'm doing is I'm painting every world champion from all the American promotions going all the way back to 1905 with the first one.
Wow.
And so a lot of people were like, so are you going to do David Arquette? Because, you know, he was WCW world champion. Yep. And I was like, well, I'm doing all of them.
First thing that they think of.
Yeah, David Arquette. Yeah. And so I tweeted him, just as a lark, and said,
Yeah.
like, "Hey, when I get to yours, what outfit do you want?" And he's like, "Oh, dude, I want the red one." And he bought it. He's got it hanging up in his living room.
Oh, so you painted it.
Yeah,
It's already
yeah.
done. All right. That's great.
And so he was the first world champion to reach out to me.
I think WWE Films needs to redo Ready to Rumble. I think that would be a good.
It's a lost classic.
That would be a great like reboot.
Yeah.
Any film they need to reboot that. I think that's it. You know, update all the guys in it.
Although I think it's kind of perfect how it is.
Oh no, it definitely is.
Yeah.
With when Ahmed Zappa, when he puts his finger in his butt and then he has him smell the Slurpee.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Come on, who didn't do that as a kid, right?
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. All right. So basically, are you like freelance with WWE? Like, do you have a position with them?
No, I'm a independent contractor, I guess would be the tax status on it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But it's different from like what most freelance artists would deal with, because I'm still like the difference between commercial art and fine art is with commercial art, someone tells you what they want and they pay you for it. With fine art, you paint what you want and people pay you for it. So I essentially have the fine art arrangement with they might say like, "Oh, we want a John Cena painting," and then let me do my thing.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. Like
it's unheard of. Yeah.
That's really cool, and I don't think people know about that. So it's fine art, and then the other one was commercial art.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. So I don't know. I kind of like to keep this as like a conversation, but I did reach out and I said, "Hey, I'm going to talk to you," and then people sent me questions and stuff. They wanted to know if you painted Virgil yet.
No, but I did meet him, and he's one of those guys where it's like if I did the painting, he's like, "Okay, that's great. Now pay me for my likeness or whatever," So I'd have to go through all that.
The full question was, have you ever painted Virgil, or are you afraid that he'll never leave you alone?
Yeah,
that was the full question.
Or conversely, he might start asking for a lot of paintings.
That's it. Yep.
Like I saw him at a show once, and he was just like walking amongst the crowd, and he had like his merch bag on him, and he would like walk up to people and like, "Hi, I'm Virgil," and shake their hand. Like, "Oh, so nice to meet you." And he's like, "Do you want to buy an 8x10?"
He asked my mom out on a date.
Ooh, awesome.
Yeah, that's as far as I'm going to go with that story.
Yes,
she did. Yeah, it was really. It was like it was before he had a blog written about him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll stop now. Okay. So, is there any they're bringing in this very like highly known Japanese wrestler, Prince Devitt, and he uses paint. Yeah,
he's a cool guy. I've talked with him here and there, and he's a super cool guy.
Are you going to be like a part of the NXT staff and paint him? Is that a lame question? Do I sound like a news reporter?
If the opportunity presented itself, I might consider it. Although if one of the divas wanted it, I'd probably say yes a little quicker. Although I have done one similar thing. I did Ultimate Warrior's coat that he wore on his final appearance.
Yeah, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, that was one of those things. For the longest time, I thought it was like one of the wrestlers like pulling a long form practical joke on me until it actually happened. Because like for a year or so, I would hear from people in Warriors camp about wanting to work together, and then things would stop,
Yeah.
And then about 2 months ahead of WrestleMania, his agent reached out to me and was like, "Hey, would you like to do Warriors coat? You're his favorite artist." And I'm like, "What?" Okay, yeah, like that sounds totally awesome. Let's do that. And then time passed and I didn't hear anything. And I figured, they found something else or went a different direction, whatever. And then like 2 weeks before WrestleMania, which I was already, because I was going down there to paint.
Yeah.
So, and taking a whole bunch of stuff with me. So I was like already like way into preparing for that. And I get an email from Warrior's agent again saying like, okay, Warrior's going to call you tomorrow to talk about it. And I'm like, okay,
Wow.
and so like, yeah, the next day he calls me up and we talked for like 2 hours. Super passionate guy, like just rapid fire ideas, super nice guy too.
Yeah.
And it was such a surreal conversation because like one of the portraits of him was like one of the very first ones I did when I started the wrestling thing, but never heard from him. And he's like, yeah, I just admire that painting all the time. And I watch your YouTube videos every week religiously. I can't wait till you post them. And, I'll daydream sometimes about, painting in the studio with you and, learning from you. And
Wow. That's crazy.
Like,
now, was this one of your favorite wrestlers growing up, or?
Like not really. Actually.
Yeah. Okay.
He wasn't my style,
Mm-hmm.
But because like I didn't get into like the Attitude Era, so
That's
Warrior
true.
was from a different era that
Yeah.
I hadn't fully embraced, but like I just pictured like him in the studio like as the Ultimate Warrior from 1990, like
Yeah.
but he was a painter himself. So, like we talked technique, he threw out ideas that he wanted for the jackets. And then he's like, I just signed this long form deal with WWE. And every time I do an appearance, I'm going to wear a different jacket. I want you to be the guy that paints the jackets for me.
Wow.
And I was like, oh yeah, okay, totally awesome. And then he actually had me do 2 jackets. Like he overnighted one to me, and then the second one didn't show up until like a few days before I left for New Orleans. So I got both of those done in addition to all the stuff I was doing for WrestleMania. And like I didn't finish the second one until like 2 a.m. of the day that I was leaving to drive down there. So that was pretty crazy, but because like initially the plan was for him to wear one at WrestleMania and then one on the Raw after. And so they decided like, a few hours before WrestleMania, like to not have him wear the jacket because it'd be kind of silly, like him and Gimmick and everyone else in their tuxes and dresses,
Yeah.
Totally understood. And initially the plan was for me to take the jackets over to the house that they had rented for him because he, wanted to meet me in person and, get the photo opportunity and stuff. Mm-hmm. And which was so weird. He's like, yeah, I want to get a photo with you. That'll be cool. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of want to get one with you too. But and it was fun. Like they called it the Warrior Compound where he was at.
Yeah.
But he was so busy and I was so busy. They ended up just having like a staffer take the jackets over to him, which was fine. And then like I don't know, like 2 hours before WrestleMania. Got an email from his agent again saying like, hey, would you like to watch WrestleMania from Warrior's box? And I'm like, yes, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Because like it was a grueling week. Like
I can imagine.
It 20-hour days. No exaggeration. It was more like napping than sleeping. Totally worth it. I wouldn't trade it for anything else, but geez, it was work.
Yeah.
But then like just getting to WrestleMania was like experiencing how the 1% live. Because we go, like I was staying at a different hotel because I'd booked everything way in advance before I started working with WWE. So I wasn't at the WWE hotel. So we go over to their hotel, which was the Roosevelt there in New Orleans. And like just that hotel alone, like the public bathroom, the paper towels were individually monogrammed. And my wife said the ladies' room, like instead of stalls, they were individual bathrooms. Like, with their own mirror and sink and everything. And, it's like, wow, and then like sitting in the bar and, getting ready to get on the bus, like there goes Ric Flair, there goes Jake the Snake, there goes DDP, it was really cool. And, then like we're standing in line to get on the buses. It was like the friends and family group. And, like Maurice is standing in front of me and Kevin Nash is over to the side. And, like you just look around and it's like, well, I know that person. And So like we get on the bus, we go for like half a block, and then we're stopped at a corner forever, it seems like. And then I see a bunch of police motorcycles drive by, and I turn to my wife and I'm like, "We've got a motorcade." And she's like, "Shut up." No, like they shut down New Orleans WrestleMania traffic, 75,000 people,
Yeah.
for us to get to the Superdome, and like had our own entrance to get in, and then like they had like a club for all the friends and family to watch the show from. So we go up there first, and like again, you're looking around, it's just like name a name in wrestling history. They're in that room. And Hornswoggle, I'm actually pretty good friends with, and so I was sitting with him and his family watching the first match, and like my wife keeps saying like Ric Flair's over there because she's just obsessed with Ric Flair, and she's like, it's like one of those, like he's actually on her celebrity list,
Okay, all right.
So it's like she's like, how do I say hi to him? And I'm like, well, if he walks by and he looks in your direction, you can say hi. Like I'm giving her like the wrestler code on how to, approach everyone, or you can nod, or just say hi, Rick. So like, she like freaks out like a little bit later, comes back, she's like, he said hi to me, and but then we go up to Warrior's box from there, and unfortunately, again, he was so busy, he and his family didn't actually make it up there. So I was with all of his friends instead, but they were totally cool people, and consider them friends as well now. And just like watching the show from that vantage point was awesome. Like the Daniel Bryan Yes stuff. It was almost like something from a zombie movie. Like seeing all those people on the floor doing that thing at the same time. Yeah. It was a little chilling. It was awesome, but it was a little like, oh, that's kind of weird. Or like when Undertaker lost. I tell everyone this and they don't believe me, but it's the truth. There was a tangible feeling of the air sucking out of the arena. Yeah.
A friend of mine actually shot WrestleMania. Like he was one of the cameramen.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, he said this. Like he was also like in charge, or was also like telling the person, like somebody else, like where to shoot. And he was like, yeah, he's going to win, like this, this is what's going to happen. And then when that happened, they said it was like time stopped.
Yeah, there was something like I've heard like only 4 people knew.
Yeah, that
the
too.
referee might not have been one of them.
Mm-hmm. And also he said that too, like it was. It was on like the sheet that, of the script of the show that
can you imagine the referee like, okay, like, cause like they're instructed essentially do it like it's a real fight. Yeah. And it's like
that makes sense.
His shoulder didn't pop up, like
by the way to how he counted it. We want to turn this into a wrestling podcast completely right now. We want to go play by play. By the way he counted it, it did seem like that. So I believe that. Yeah. Yeah.
And like the way he like looked over at the timekeeper, like, what did I just do? You know? And then like Monday we were driving back to Kansas City, which like I had to rent a van because the painting I was doing down there was 7 foot by 5 foot. So I had to get, a vehicle big enough to transport that.
They wouldn't get something to transport it for you, or you felt only comfortable doing it?
I felt comfortable doing it.
Okay. Because I saw that. That thing's a monster.
Oh, cool.
Right?
It's huge. All
right. I just want
to. I didn't trust shipping it.
Okay.
But I mean, they were willing to do that, but I was like, and also just cost wise, it was cheaper just to rent a van and drive it down. But the van didn't have cruise control, so driving 16 hours without cruise control was a bummer. But we still didn't know for sure whether he was going to wear the jacket on Monday.
Yeah.
And Hornswoggle texted me from backstage right before Warrior went out. He's like, dude, he's still in his suit. Like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, shit. But also
Hornswoggle with the bearer of bad news.
But I'd also had a call from one of the staffers, a few hours earlier, like, okay, does Warrior have the jackets? And I'm like, yeah. Like, you took him to him, I hope he does. And he's like, oh, okay, great. And So I was like, I didn't know what was going on because like I'd gotten that call a little earlier that they were wanting the jacket, but then yeah, they had it stashed under the ring to like kind of give that surprise. And
Yeah, so like I guess kind of explains to the people. He walked out with the suit on, no jacket. Were you like kind of like oh man, and then all of a sudden like he kind of it just like popped on. I don't really think did they show him putting it on?
no, either like someone handed it to him at ringside or
Yeah.
it was under the ring, and then like he's like next shot there he is in the ring wearing it.
Yeah.
And then like had like one of those masks and put that on instead of like applying the face paint. So it was like a cool little surprise thing. And so like then all of a sudden my Twitter and my texting starts blowing up. Like he's wearing it. Oh my god!
Yeah.
And, like people
now, did people
are like,
know? Were you
that...
tweeting about it? Like, oh, I'm working on the jackets and stuff like that.
No, it was all a surprise.
Yeah. So, but did they just see them and they're like, "That's Rob's paintings"?
Yeah, which was cool.
Okay, that is cool. That's
People
really cool.
really recognized it right off the bat. And also like a cool thing ahead of time Warrior told me about was he had called Triple H because that's who he was dealing with. Saying like, here's this artist I want to do my jackets, but I want to touch base with you to see if you have any recommendations. And Triple H is like, actually, that's the guy I would recommend to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like, everything's blowing up. And then like, I had actually put in a good word to Warrior's agent that Hornswoggle wanted to meet Warrior. So like, because that was his wrestler as a kid and what made him want to get into wrestling. So like, like I get, like a really cool text from Hornswoggle, like, oh my God, I got to meet him. It's so cool. And so then like, but we were driving. Don't worry, guys. My wife was driving while I was tweeting. But we didn't get home till like 1 a.m. So, and then like the next day we pretty much just slept because we didn't sleep for like a week. So like that night we're finally watching Raw and we were like, the next segment was going to be the Warrior segment. Like we had watched that segment, Monday night. We couldn't wait for that, but we were watching the whole show Tuesday. And I get a text again from Hornswoggle saying Warrior died. And I'm like, is this like wrestler carny talk like that I don't know yet? Yeah. But no, like I did a quick search and saw WWE and Triple H confirmed it, and I'm like, this is like we just sat there in silence for like an hour and started getting like texts from people in the company and it was just like my heart breaks for the family, especially for his daughters. But as far as the character Ultimate Warrior for a final appearance, I don't know that there could have been a better one.
Now I got to ask you, was that kind of like, I guess kind of like eerie for you to be like, you didn't meet him, right?
No. Okay. We were supposed to meet like the next month. He was going to do an appearance at a show and I was going to be there too. Now,
like, I guess you talked to him like, almost, for a while and stuff like that. And it seems like there was like a lot of build up to, like, I don't know. I guess that's really the question. Was it eerie to like for that to happen? Like,
totally. Yeah. Totally. And it kind of reinforced taking advantage of every moment of every day. Like the wreck that I'd had last year, did the same thing. But, this was like, if you have the chance to do something now, do it. Because you really might not have another chance, even though it seems so obvious that you will.
Yeah.
So sorry to bring the show down there.
No, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. I got to ask you also, no, where are the jackets?
The family has them.
Okay.
And there was the one that was seen and then one that was never used, which I thought the other one was better. But, because that was the one I actually had a little bit of time to work on.
Yeah. Can you describe it?
Yeah. The one that he wanted was like, what he ended up wearing.
Yeah.
Where I had done a painting of like him jumping in the ring and he's like, I want that painting done again on the back of the jacket. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like normally I would say no to something like that. Like I don't want to paint the same thing again. Mm-hmm. But for him and for what he was using it for, it's like, yes, absolutely, I'll do that. The other one was more of a suede material. Like the one that he wore that night was canvas. But the other one was like more of a like thicker suede material, and I did quite a bit more spray paint on that. did like on the back, it was like him, like a close up on his face screaming, and then like all these jagged lines and dots, like kind of like exploding around the jacket from his face. I'll send you a picture afterwards, but yeah, I was really happy with that one.
So I guess if people want to reach out to you, or where can they find your art? I guess that's
sure. My main website is robschamberger.com. That's robschamberger.com. You can, I've got a gallery of all my stuff up on there, and I've got a smaller store on there. Also on WWE's site, you can go to WWE Shop, and you can get some like canvas prints and some posters there. And then also they have an auction site where you can get original paintings that are signed by the talent, which is pretty cool. They come like they're matted already, and the guys sign the mats, so it's not messing up the painting or anything.
Nice.
Yeah. At first they were like, yeah, well, we'd like to have the talent sign them, and I was just like really torn. Like, that seems gimmicky, Like I'm trying really hard to make sure that my work is seen seriously, and it's like, would Leroy Neiman have had Muhammad Ali sign the painting? Maybe, maybe, but still, like. I'm trying to carry myself that way,
Yeah.
But then, like, I came up with the compromise of the mat signed by the wrestler, and everyone likes that. And also, then we can call it frame ready. And then on Twitter at Rob Schamberger, same on Instagram. Facebook is Art of Rob Schamberger. Although, like, Facebook kind of sucks anymore.
It does, right?
It does, man. It's a bummer.
Like, hey, you want to pay? It's like, hey, you want to put some money into this post so other people can see it?
Yeah, it sucks. Like, I've got 8,000 followers on there, and it'll tell me like 200 people saw this post.
Yep.
Yeah. You suck, man. But Twitter's where I'm most active, and Instagram too.
Cool, man. Well, thank you for talking to me.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.